Okay.
So Kim's meeting?
Do we want a recording?
I think they're all recorded, so you can put them out.
Even if it's just audio, that would be great.
Okay. Let's see, do I have to admit? Admit? Hello, Cynthia?
Hi, Lou. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Okay.
Thank you for accommodating me like this.
It is a pleasure.
I appreciate it so
That's
much.
what we do as a part of our team. And then what I will do, do we want to,
Yeah.
do we want to put this somewhere here so the audio?
Hello, everybody.
Chris.
What a
Shake my
nice
hand.
room.
Charlie,
Actually-
PCB, so stay-
Oh, I know what.
No.
So you're gonna be on the table now. Let me see.
All right. Hi, Karen. You're the closest person I can see. Hi,
Okay.
everybody.
And I think it's
Thank-
loud enough so that you can you all hear in the back?
PC might have put my name on it.
it recorded?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we have a lot more to look at together.
Here is Lindsay.
Hey, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lou.
It
for
is a
setting that up.
pleasure. Let me make sure it's complete. Oh, no. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
No, I just didn't speak to them yet, because I think some of these are fraud. That's why I'm speaking to them. But until I determine that they're not fraud, I'd like to speak to you.
I don't think anybody had any.
Veteran TV.
I think they're all.
$90.
Not as compared as what we previously.
Oh, yeah.
We can say hi to Cynthia's back there.
I said it.
Lee, were you?
Hi there.
Lou, were you gonna do the AI for minutes today?
It's already doing.
It's already doing it. Okay, great. Technology.
If you can sit right now,
Oh, you're sitting right in front of us.
Cynthia is right in back of you. Cynthia's sitting in back of you.
All right, so then I'll sit.
Yes. Hey, folks, because we've got someone zooming in, we do need to do an audible roll call of who's here. Every time we go, right? Yes, okay.
Hello, sir. How are you? It's been going on.
So every time we
Face the-
speak, just announce who you are.
Would it be?
You're right here.
Do whatever you want.
No, I'm just trying to see so Cynthia can see everybody. I guess.
Thank you. Don't worry, as long as I can hear.
Okay, you can hear me? I'll
I
speak.
can hear you. Yes, very
Okay.
clearly. It's pretty amazing.
Great. I know that Meg's gonna be a little late. She has a kid pickup. So, but she did text me and say that she's gonna be here. I heard from Ken that she was coming, so, but I don't know. We can start though. It's past 6 o'clock.
You have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. So first thing to do, thank you, Charlie, is one of the things we need to do is approve meeting minutes for the last 4 meetings, February 5th, 12th, April 2nd, and July 14th. We don't have copies of the July 14th meeting minutes, but we do have it online. So we don't have, I guess we don't have copies of any of the meeting minutes, right?
Not for me, but this would be the only, I'm not aware that that's something that I would do. So if that is something I would do, but the other committees do them themselves. So this would be something separate that I'm not aware of, if that is something that I do.
Okay, yeah, just saying typically we would have
Got it.
meeting minutes printed for
Got
the
it.
committee,
Okay.
but if
For
we
the
have
other
to print
committees, the
those,
chair
we can
does
do
it.
that.
Got it.
So I'm happy to. We can take a vote on the minutes. We can, because we keep putting this off. See if you have your phone or laptop. I'm happy to have you look at the minutes. Town of New London,
Now on that.
go under boards and committees. Then go to budget committee. And then BC meeting. Agendas and minutes.
I went through them in detail. And did
Well, I
not
guess if I
find,
got a single charge a year ago, I missed it.
I have an edit on the February 12th one.
You have a comment on the 12th? Well, let's start with, how about we start with the
So,
5th?
yeah,
And then we'll
exactly.
just approve that and go by 12.
What it's worth.
July 21, $116.94. Chase
Oh,
credit
she-
card auto pay,
She's
bills
frozen.
and utilities,
Oh,
no, she's,
AC
She's fine.
debit, 116.94.
I'm not frozen, I don't think.
Oh.
we
This
heard,
is talking.
we hear something in the background.
Sorry, I didn't have my mute on. I apologize. I'm in a place where there's a little bit of background noise, but not too bad.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe.
I'm
Mute.
muted now. I apologize. I thought I was,
Don't
sorry.
worry about it. That's fine. Let me give Lou and John a chance.
Okay.
You're okay? Lindsay, you're okay? Okay. Any comments on the February 5th, 2025 meeting minutes? Okay. Any motions to,
I motion that we approve the February 5th. 2025 Budget Committee meeting minutes. My name is Charles Kelsey.
Thank you, Charlie.
John Tilly will second.
so we'll take a vote. Each person has to, again, I'm going off of previous, when we have someone online, everybody has to state their name and yes or nay, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Lou, we'll start with you.
Lou, yes.
John Tilly, yes.
Do I weigh in on this?
You do.
Rich Anderson abstain.
Charles Kelsey, yes.
Chris Lorio, yes.
Lindsay Lund, yes.
Karen Epstein, yes.
And Cynthia,
Cynthia Rusas, yes.
excellent. We will now move on to February 12th meeting notes. Are there any comments on the 12th? I know Karen, you said you had one?
Yeah, on page, on the cover page, under point number 2, like the third paragraph, or fourth paragraph down, 2 extra zeros are in there, so
Oh, yeah.
You mean 1,634,000,000?
not quite there yet, so I think we just need to take out the zero and
In the strive for it.
So the correct number is 1,634,606.
that is correct.
Good catch. Any other comments?
I move to accept the meeting minutes February 12th, 2025. As amended, changing item 2, paragraph 2, number 2, in the interfund operating transfers from capital reserves, change to 1,634,606. Charles Kelsey.
And John Tilly, I will second that.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Start with you, Lou.
Lou Boda, yes.
John Tilly, yes.
Rich Anderson abstain.
Charles Kelsey, yes.
Chris Lorio, yes.
Karen Epstein, yes.
Lindsay Lund, yes.
Cynthia Rusas, yes.
Was passed. We'll move on to April 2nd. We,
I have one change on top of page 2 and page 3. The date is February 12, 2025. But the date of the meeting is April 2nd, 2025. So I think those are just a typo.
okay. Noted. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, any motions?
Charles Kelsey, motion to approve the Budget Committee meeting minutes of April 2nd, 2025, as amended, changing the date at the top of page 2 and 3 to April 2, 2025.
John Tilly will second.
All right, we take a vote.
Lou Boda, yes?
John Tilly, yes.
Rich Anderson abstain.
Charles Kelsey, yes.
Chris Lorio, yes.
Karen Epstein, yes.
Yes.
Cynthia Rusas, yes.
All right, that passes, and then finally we'll move on to July 14th.
I have a question of clarification, if I could, last page, paragraph preceding next steps. Which states regarding the recommendation to create a 5 to 10-year budget forecast with estimated tax rates. Mrs. Lewis, the finance director, mentioned that Questico wouldn't be able to provide a 5 to 10-year tax rate estimate. However, she is working on a worksheet to assist with those estimates, which will enable members to model different scenarios. Mine is just a question, is that accurate?
It is. It's a big spreadsheet too.
Well, it's pretty-
All right, so no changes.
Question, point of clarification, wasn't, I've got John Tilly finance, but wasn't I also, I mean, does that include taxes, administration? There were like several things in that sort of all in this building.
Yeah.
And there's only
falls under
one thing listed
administration.
there, all under administration. Is
iPhone,
that,
I think iPhone.
is that the appropriate, is that the appropriate title for that then? That's just a question. It's not how I had it written in my own minutes. Is finance okay there on that page? It just says finance.
I think it's fine. It is, it always does fall under town administration.
Got it.
So I don't think we have to make a change, but I'll look to Ashley or.
Yes, I believe historically, prior to this year, administration was all under one category, so, tax
That should
collector,
be
town
changed.
clerk,
That,
finance.
yes.
Yes, I believe planning was also lumped in there, so Adam, but it sounds like Adam might be pulled out for this, which I think is fine if that's what you all want to do. And then myself under administration as well.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. You
Um,
referring to
in-
the committee
In
assignment?
the committee assignments, I'm listed as finance, but I believe I was administration, although it was, I had like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
that She just
Yes.
listed out, like,
Yes.
and it's
yes.
just listed as one, and I was inquiring if the rest of the board thought that was okay, or do we want to change that to administration, or I'm being picky,
I'm fine, just staying under town administration.
Okay. Here it is.
So we'll make the change from finance to town administration.
Hold on, I need to check this.
Okay, any other comments? All right, any motions?
Charlie Kelsey, I'll motion to approve the minutes of July 14, 2025. Milano Budget Committee as amended, page 2, bottom, changing finance to town administration.
Okay, any second?
John Tilly, second.
All right, let's
Lou
do,
Boda, aye.
No, no.
John
it's
Tilly,
only-
yeah.
Rich Anderson abstain.
Charles Kelsey, yes.
Chris Lorio, yes.
Karen Epstein, yes.
Yes.
All right,
Cynthia Rusas,
Wait.
yes.
sorry.
Might do one thing, Chris, in addition. So there is listed on the website, under the Budget Committee section, meeting minutes for the meeting held Wednesday, September 5th. And it's shown as a New London Budget Committee meeting. But it was a select board meeting of which Budget Committee members attended. So I'm suggesting that that should be adjusted. And at the top of the following 2 pages of those, the date of September 10th follows for the meeting that was held on the 5th. So those are just observations. I don't think we as a committee need to do anything other than acknowledge it was not our meeting.
Yep, Casey, I'll have Casey update it.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on to the second. Well, actually, we haven't even welcomed. So welcome, everybody. Happy Monday on the 15th. A lot of topics to cover today. I know that Meg would like, I know Cynthia has to leave a little bit early and Meg is on her way here. I was gonna move some of the agenda topics around, such as voting on the chair, vice chair, just until Meg can get here. Just think it'd be nice to have every member here for that. So why don't we move on to the next agenda item, which would be the selectmen's reports.
Yeah, I can tell you that the most recent select board meeting that we had presentations from protective associations of each of the significant bodies of water that are within the town. There was nothing particularly dramatic that was revealed there or anything like that. The issues regarding the sewer lagoons up on Mount Sunapee probably remain the biggest single issue that is facing all 3 towns that border the big lake. Aside from that, the other major thing that we were discussing in terms of other things that we talked about were the dispatch study, and what we've indicated that at least at this time, our plan is to put that on the back burner. And the reason being, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who are unhappy with the fact that we are not proceeding with a study for that right now. But first of all, a study would, if we were going to go with hiring a consultant to do that, would not be a minimal expenditure to do that. And as right now, in terms of the big focus, both in terms of our attention as well as any additional money that we can put together, is really actually focused on preparing to try and figure out where we're going with both the Department of Public Works and the new police department in terms of where that would potentially be sited. And so, for example, we've prepared the town administration has prepared a request for proposals from folks to examine the Department of Public Works site and the existing easements for the electric utility, and trying to determine whether or not it is feasible to put both a new building for the Department of Public Works as well as potentially a new police department location there. And so that's one of the things. And so that in terms of both the focus of the select board at the moment, as well as any funds that we can put together for use for that purpose, that's why we're turning our attention to that. I can say that we certainly will be examining the issue of dispatch, though, before any decisions are made about a police station, because obviously the square footage involved in dispatch is not insignificant, nor the costs associated with it. And so that is something we would have to be tackling. What are we doing? Kind of what is the long-term plan regarding dispatch? And that obviously is integral to any discussion of the new police department. So those are the major issues that are going on at this time in terms of as far as the select board's attention. And as I said, I've gotten a fair amount of negative feedback from folks who are not happy with the fact that we're not looking to move ahead with a study of dispatch at this time, but it just seems like that is not the most urgent priority right at the moment.
Would you mind giving us like a top 2 or 3 list of why people are so concerned, just so we have some color commentary on what you're hearing? Or is that
You really want me to get in trouble, John? Color commentary,
or just just a couple of points that
I
people are making
think that
they're concerned.
yeah, it is, there's certainly just a lot of discussion. Obviously, a lot of folks are wondering, is having dispatch in New London and serving a few of the local towns around us as well, is that the most cost-effective way, as well as is it the most efficient way for us to have dispatch? In other words, and so, whenever we do address the topic of dispatch, that's going to be sort of the heart of it is simply how much does it cost us? Would it be cheaper to potentially outsource that to Hanover or some other location? And would we get better service if we did that, or would we get worse service? Would it cost more? Would it cost less? So those are sort of the next
Just curious. Thank you.
Sure.
Can somebody jump in on that topic?
Take comments from the public.
Yes.
Yeah, just state your name, please.
Rich Epstein, President of New London. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially saved, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So even that you had to ask that is kind of concerning. And it really quite honestly puts question the fact that it's been put on hold when it's been delayed time after time after time is really, really concerning. So the fact that the selectmen are deferring it yet again is very concerning, and this should be top of your mind to make sure you look at savings that are potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. If the town our size will pay hundreds of thousands of dollars less for dispatch.
May I respond?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would only like to state that it would be, it would not be wise of me to assume that I knew what the complaints were that were coming in on the phone call. And so I think it was very appropriate to actually ask for clarification what those complaints were about. And so I am aware of how much we are spending. I sat through all of the presentations last year as well, but I did not presume to know what people were calling and asking about.
I'd also say that I've been on this board for a long time, and some of the words that you're using is time and time again and time again might be misconstrued because it hasn't come up time and time again in maybe in your definition of the last 6 months or 8 months, perhaps, but it hasn't been something that we've talked about for many years. So I would just like to say that that's not necessarily the highest priority in my mind. Perhaps for you it is, perhaps for some of the taxpayer it is, but I think the Board of Selectmen have to determine what the highest priority items are, and we can't do everything at once.
And as you said, there are people who would think potentially saving hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And I think it's prudent that the selectmen do a study versus just diving into
Yeah.
it, right? And that's what they're saying is that for right now, given all the other town things that are going on, that has to be deferred. Things always have to be prioritized or deprioritized. So, I mean, you are free to your thoughts and comments, but I would just throw in if I'm allowed my opinion
Yeah,
as
of
well.
course.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just add my opinion? This is Cynthia.
Yeah, go ahead, Cynthia.
Hi, I was actually fortunate to be able to speak to Rich about this at the end of the last budget committee meeting. Yes. As someone that hasn't been around as long as others, it seemed a little strange to me that decisions were being made about the scope of the police station and the space that would be needed without understanding all of the equipment needs associated with the dispatch center, which also seems to be the case now. In order for a request for proposal to combine the DPW and police station in one space, it would seems vital to know how much space the police station needs. So that was when Rich said he had heard comments, that was one that I had spoken to him about. It just doesn't make sense to me how you make the determination. So that's just my opinion on that subject. I just wanted to add that. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion on it? Or comments?
One other thing that I would note, just as an aside, for anyone who hasn't, and most folks probably won't have had an opportunity yet, but as you might be aware, we had recently the town had approved the college putting up lights for the field. And so those lights are now installed, and last week they had their first soccer game. And after one of our meetings, I don't even remember which meeting it was, but I did shoot down there to see it. And if you haven't seen one yet, I would recommend it because it was very gratifying to see that. In fact, to give you an idea, as I went down Siemens Road, I thought the game must be over because I saw no aura whatsoever in the sky from any kind of lighting. And then it was only when I got to the road that I looked down the road that I saw indeed there's a lit field down there. And I thought, well, they must have dimmed the lights then just to allow people to leave. The game was going on and the lights worked remarkably well, better than anyone might have expected, certainly that I would have expected. In that the field is brilliantly lit, and yet there is a minimal amount of light that is leaking out from the edges of it at all. So it's quite impressive. Sometime I would recommend if anyone has a chance, because keep in mind, one of the things that was approved was for there to be events beyond just college events, just their sporting events, and there's the ability to do other things. And so the potential for that site is really remarkable now that we have a lit field within the town. And hopefully we won't be hearing any concerns or complaints from the neighbors in the area.
I, just to piggyback onto that, I have, Dean McCurdy and I are meeting next week in one of our topics of discussion. He and I had a chance to connect at Cars and Coffee on Saturday. But we really want to get a New London resident community event at one of the night meetings going, at least for the fall, so. That will hopefully come to fruition, but that's on our agenda for next week.
Well, as an abutter of the college fields, as a neighbor, literally right through the woods, my backyard already goes up to the woods. I didn't notice any light. I was outside one evening and there were people outside, but I could barely see any glow. So I'm about maybe 300 yards from the fields.
Terrific.
So that's great.
I did go down and had an incredible experience. Personally, because as Rich just characterized, the lights are terrific and it does all those things. And I had this special message from my mother, which said she approved of having the lights there too. And the only context there is that Kelsey Fields, my folks, were instrumental in helping make that happen for the town.
Chris, did you go to the tailgate at Dean McCurdy's house, at the president's house beforehand?
I did not. No, we just had some friends over and you could hear the noise outside. I could always hear the games, but now it's nice that the kids can walk through the woods and go to the games at night. And it'll keep the college kids from drinking on the fields and yelling the whole time. That'll be helpful too. As someone-
Different type of noise.
Well, just beer cans and things like that. All right. Anything else for Richard? Before we move on. All right, why don't we do this? Just given timing, Meg's here. I texted Kim, but I haven't heard back, so I'm not sure if she's able to attend. I'd like to, if people are okay with it, do the voting for chair and vice chair for this coming budget committee year. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. What I'd like to say as chair of the committee is that it has been an awesome experience being able to be chair for the last few years. Just given my work schedule and the amount of time I need to be in Boston and the amount of time it's taking at home to do work, I don't feel right now that I can commit the amount of time required to do a really good job. When I do something, I really want to do an excellent job, and I don't feel like I have the personal time to do that. So with that, I've talked to Charlie. I'd like to nominate him to be chair of the budget committee.
Second.
Any other thoughts, comments, or anyone else who'd like to throw their name in the hat to be chair? Okay, well then hearing none, we'll get to vote on Charlie. So again, Meg, just because you're new and Cynthia's online, we have to do a roll call every time we vote. So you'll just have to state your name and an aye or nay. Okay, so Lou, we'll start with you. This is to
Lou Boda, aye.
John Tilley, yes.
Rich Anderson, yes.
I should abstain, I think.
you can vote for yourself.
I don't want to vote for myself.
Okay, Charles Kelsey abstains. Chris Lorio, yes.
Karen Epstein, yes.
Peg Brown, yes. Lindsay Lund, yes.
Great. Well, congratulations.
Oh,
Chair.
Well, thank
Cynthia
you so
Roos
very
says
much.
yes.
But yeah, I'm sorry. The
Thank you,
things
Cynthia.
behind me, I keep forgetting.
That's
which ones I-
okay, that's okay.
All right. Congratulations, Charlie. With that, I would like to nominate myself as vice chair, just because I feel like I have some historical background that I think could be helpful to Charlie. If there's a reason Charlie can't attend a meeting or needs something, I feel like I can provide that benefit and the time required for that. But
Second.
That's my own thoughts.
Second.
Okay. Any other people want to vote for being vice chair or put their names in the hat? Cynthia? I can't, okay. All right, so we'll take a vote for vice chair.
Who voted yes?
John Tilly, yes.
Rich Anderson, yes.
Charles Kelsey, yes.
Karen, Epstein,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. No, Chris Lorio,
sent you.
Chris Lorio abstained.
Karen Epstein, yes.
Meg Brown, yes.
Yes.
Cynthia Roos is yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, now we have that. Please don't miss any meetings, so do anything. Sure. No, just joking. Why don't we talk about the last department meeting? We had a meeting last week where we talked about, and most folks, well, not all folks were able to attend. Karen wasn't able to attend. Cynthia was here, you were here, Lindsay wasn't able to attend, and Kim wasn't able to attend. John,
Missed the second.
you missed this, yeah. So I want to just as a department, talk about two things. One, any comments or questions on the process that we discussed. And then two, would like to align on meeting dates for committees. Well, first, let's put folks with committees. The suggestion was to have someone who has some historical background with someone who's new. So we can try and do that for all the departments. That might be a challenge. That means some people might have two. So we'll see how that works out. And then we can align with Ashley on dates. for
Yeah, I think
department
what I'll
heads.
end up doing is putting whomever here is aligned to a department with that actual department head for them to schedule directly, and we'll go from there, but I am definitely going to be a roadblock in trying to actually get the scheduling done. So I'm happy to make the connection for you all to work directly with the department needs. I will say though, I did let Chris know today, we have a number of people that are about to be out. So Will is out for a conference starting on Wednesday. Sam is out for a week and a half, starting Friday. And then we have 3 new hires that are all starting in a matter of weeks, and those 3 department heads will need to spend time training their new hires. So just keep that in mind.
Is it okay if we communicate via email?
Oh,
Just on like, if someone finds out they're aligned, they have a time, they can communicate with the rest of the committee members.
yeah, what I will do is once I have the list of who is aligned with what department leads, I will send an email to the 2 department, to whomever here is aligned and that department lead to say, hey, Will, you're with John. John's probably not going because he's going to have multiple departments. But you know, Lou, you've got police, connect him with Emily and say, Emily, you've got Lou and someone else. You guys can work together to find a time.
And we said that it should not prohibit anyone else from attending if they wanted to.
Correct. There just can't be a quorum, I
Right.
don't think. Yeah,
Because then it would be a,
See, there cannot be a quorum.
correct.
because then that would be a meeting.
Okay.
We did say that we would try and rely on those members to be the voice of that department, right? So with
Yes.
again, if you'd like to attend, let the person who's the key point person for that know, but if it does become too many people, then we would have to have a posted meeting, which we would like to try and avoid. But those two people should be the voice of the department, working with the department heads on the questions. And then as the departments communicate their budgets and questions come up, they can talk about some of the reasons why. I think we still wanted to have those budget committee members kind of give an overview of the department, maybe even before they present their budgets. But I do know that, and people may have questions on the questions that we developed. So if you recall, we had an initial list of 40-something questions. We gave that to the selectmen and the department heads. On the back end, we reduced that number to about 20 questions to try and be a little bit more comprehensive and cover certain topics that would be important to the budget committee. But we also said that still doesn't mean that a committee member can't ask a question of the department head, whether it be on the previous list or a question that comes up during discussion, but that we would use those 20 questions as sort of a, you know, what's the right word to use? Framework for the discussion with the department head. So they could develop their answers to those questions. And then we could have a discussion about those questions along with anything else that you might like to ask. We did change some words. I know I have to make that edit, so we took 10 years out and did future. Because some departments just don't look out 10 years, and there were a couple other smaller edits, and I think there was a suggestion. From the public on adding a question around, I have it, I gave it to Colin by accident, my minutes, just around, what have been some of the challenges with the departments prior to and maybe in the future? So, sort of how has their budget grown and what would have been the rationale for the budget growing over the last few years? So with all that, I'd like to discuss that process or any thoughts, questions, comments from the committee members on the process that we came up with.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment just to step back and first indicate that the whole intention of the process is to have dialogue and an exchange of information primarily from a department head to the budget committee. So we are all then working with a common set of information, and that we're trying to streamline the use of talent in the budget committee by dividing ourselves up among department heads. We're trying to streamline the time that's required. But ultimately, we're really, for lack of, it just comes to mind, is we're just collecting data. And that's what this is all about. It's not about anything other than that, so that the person from this committee who's the lead person, and will be another person, I think we suggested we would have somebody who was a newer member of the committee attend with somebody who's a longer tenured member, meet with the department head. But their responsibility is to collect the information, use the template of questions so that there's a thorough collection of the data, and then summarize it in a report. They are responsible to then go back to the department head with whatever that written report contains, so the department head can make clarifications and adjustments they deem are appropriate and needed to ensure accuracy. Once the report's then completed, that lead budget committee member would bring it back and distribute it to the budget committee. I would also suggest we are distributing it back to all department heads, but that absolutely would be your call. But it's also distributed back to the select board. I think that's, it's common data, and sharing it is adding value. So we're all better informed of what drives what we do today and drives what we may do in the future. That's the process I think we were hoping to achieve, and understanding it's a first shot at it. And probably is not going to be perfect, but it's a good start. And if there are data gaps, the thought was, after we've looked at it individually, collectively as a committee, we might have further inquiry to a particular area or department lead, and we would provide that inquiry so that when they came to present their full budget at that time in our meetings, they would have those, if there were any additional questions or clarification, they could be prepared to address that.
And the list of questions was shared with the department leads right after the meeting that we had on the 5th. And so they have those questions. I think it'll be a mixed bag on whether folks actually type out their answers on that sheet or if they just come prepared to speak to them. So I think you get both.
Yeah, so I think it'll be important for us to take the budget committee members to take notes and write down the answers.
And write the answers, and we're responsible to ensure accuracy, because we don't want to misrepresent anything or be frankly incomplete if a committee member or others feel we should have more information.
So maybe pause there and points of clarity, questions.
I think you just have a question on that process, just on what was last said, and that's really around us taking notes. So this is us prompting questions and documenting stuff about their department. Like, even if we're trying to capture that, they should weigh in and on anything before we say this is my notes from that engagement. Like, they should,
So
the department head should own that.
yeah,
Data. So there's nothing missed.
so what I shared was the meeting takes place. There's a documentation of that meeting by the budget committee two members or a singular member. That document goes back to the department head to ensure that it's accurate, complete, and doesn't miss anything.
It's sort of following up on this. As I read the questions, it appears as if these would sort of be narrative answers. So I was just thinking about the idea of data gathering as reporting as opposed to collection. So like, I understand how to collect it, but I think that can envision quite a number of ways to report on some of these questions, particularly across a number of different types of, different types of offices and in the town. And I was wondering if there had been any thought and considered to sort of a reporting out function.
We didn't talk about it.
No,
And I think my reaction is, yeah, I agree. It does present that challenge, because I might write something differently than you or any other person in the room. And I think that's where we're relying on the department head to make sure we're thorough and accurate in whatever we put forward.
Just, make this test year.
Yeah, and I'm just, I just think that I want to reiterate to the group that this is really about gaining a deeper understanding and appreciation for what drives what we do as a town and what we will do in the future and how to think about it.
You've got two department heads that manage two departments each. So you've got Chief Cobb, who manages both dispatch and police. So those answers will be separated out. So you can expect that. She'll answer those differently. And then we have Sam Clark, who oversees both transfer station and the highway department. So while they all roll under public works, those are two separate teams. So he will likely answer those questions differently for those two different teams as well. And then there's obviously administration, which is a bucket of different teams. And so those will be treated differently as well. But Sam and Chief Cobb are the two that have two departments that fall under them that you'll see different answers for.
I know that we had aligned on committees last time. That does not necessarily mean that that has to be the same. So we had me with police, me with DPW, John.
Sorry, who was, I just want to make sure I capture this.
Well, this was previous, this was back in
That doc. So you're.
or July.
July 14th.
July.
Just the-
Okay.
It's in the minutes.
Yeah, it's in the minutes.
Yeah, yes, I know. I just want to make sure that if there are any changes.
Well, I think that's what we want to discuss.
We want to
is
discuss
We want to discuss who
Yeah.
may want to go to what department. So are there any other thoughts or comments before we do align people to departments?
John Ellis, so the department heads have the option of verbally answering the question or putting it in writing?
Yes, but the budget committee members or member, if there's only one person there, is responsible for taking that verbal feedback and putting it in writing in the questions.
Right, and what would be the reason that the department heads could not put their reply in writing?
They can.
Yeah, but
He's just saying if
you
they
want
choose
to
not to.
Time of, on preparing for this, on whether they have capacity, like Will is out for almost the rest of this week and just having the capacity to write things in. That's all.
I know, like Chief Cobb said, it may take her up to 15 hours to do all the answers to some of the questions. So I think, I think most people will come prepared with their typed responses. But if they don't, we'll be prepared to get those in writing.
Yeah.
And I think in the process of sending them back, perhaps there are things they may want to add that they didn't think of the first time. So, but nothing, we're not mandating that they come with typed.
And it's going to be recorded and it's going to be in the minutes, so,
No.
the.
No,
It won't be recorded.
no, because these
Oh,
are,
okay, I'm sorry.
these are, yeah.
I also would add that I think this year we may find it may take a little longer and we may accumulate, but next year, we're not going to rehash the same information. It'll be new information versus a rehash of the same. And I think that's the first year trying something different. And if it doesn't work, we step back and say, boy, this was a bad idea and didn't work. But I personally am an advocate of it, and I don't think it can do harm. I think it can do a lot of good for all of us.
Do we want to align to departments? You have a list?
I got a list started. We started with police dispatch. Lou volunteered. And I think Karen, you had said that you were gonna work with and
Right,
support.
Gwen and I had aligned at the last meeting, in July, actually.
Yeah.
To kind of align with Lou being the lead and I'll be the
Okay.
secondary.
Department of Public Works, which is transfer and highway.
Yep.
Chris, you're the lead and we don't have anybody else yet signed.
Anybody, any new member or someone interested in highway? Meg, Kim?
How many,
Is
how
there-
many, departments do we have? So is everyone signing up for two?
My guess is we'll end up having
We
two.
have 7, 8, if you count water. So I'm happy to jump in and with you if you want.
Sure. I thought, yeah, I mean.
That
it
if
was
there's
for-
a new, if somebody would prefer. Cynthia.
I just don't want to volunteer.
Yeah, I'm happy to do, but it sounded like from, I think what Ashley said, that transfer station and highway should be together because we speaking to
No.
Sam Smith, so that it would
They are.
They are
save time.
together. He'll just have two different answers to the questions.
Correct.
But does that then become
No,
coverage for two departments?
no.
I don't.
I don't think so.
Okay. Right,
So,
I'm happy to be the new person on that.
all right, it's you and me then.
Okay, Chris.
Okay.
And then town administration, we've got John Tilly. And I'm happy to jump in with you. You want,
Be great.
so John and I will do town administration. Fire, we had Kim got kindly volunteered, yeah. They probably there, we recommend we should have somebody who's aware of fire and spend some time on it to join with her.
I can do that.
Lindsay?
Listen there, great. And then recreation, Cynthia was on that.
I'll join Cynthia again since I used to be on the rec commission.
Chris.
Looking forward to it, Chris.
Library, Lindsay was on that, and I'd be happy to join you if you'd like.
I'm gonna need to join some too, so,
Oh, do you want to do?
I mean, it doesn't matter, but
Well, it does.
Oh,
Hey,
what do you want to, do you want
What
to
do
do
you
rec?
want?
Do you want to do rec?
I'll do rec.
Yeah, why don't you
I'll
do
do
rec?
rec.
I can do library with Lindsay.
Is that two new people on rec then?
Well, recognize Cynthia and
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I personally think having someone that has some background, because it just saves the time for the folks, the department heads, but it's just my personal opinion. You guys can decide. But I'm happy to do something else, a different department if you'd like.
No, also.
I'll go also.
Then
I'll-
I can do library with something.
Okay.
I'm not going anywhere. Staying right.
Library.
Right here.
Okay, so we're back to rec is Cynthia and I for rec, and then Lindsay and Meg for library.
Planning, I had signed up for that, which is sort of combined with CIP, which I'm working on, and the end product of that is a complete document narrative that supports it, so.
Yep.
The last was, and anybody can join me in planning for sure if you want, that's primarily spending time with them. Water, H2O, the precinct, Karen Epstein had signed up for that one.
Yeah, I think we had talked about water in the school, Kearsarge Regional School District in the same, kind of along the same lines Ashley had pointed out, which was true that they are separate entities. So I think back in July, we discussed that the interface with them would be different. It would not be to the degree or the extent of which we're doing with departmental entities. So just put that out there that that may need to be more tightly defined. But because I wouldn't expect to be sitting down with the water precinct and going through the list of questions that have been prepared and expecting them to go in that way, so.
Yeah,
Is there another department that you would like to participate in them? Because some of us are on twice.
Right, no,
She's working on police.
John with
Dispatch.
Lou, and so both with Lou on police and dispatch, so.
Okay.
And as available, I can certainly jump in on something else, but I
That's
just
okay.
don't want
Jump it.
to commit.
I'm traveling a lot, so I don't wanna.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So are you okay
I'm
with
interested in it.
keeping water?
I am okay with keeping water, I just
Okay.
want to make sure we're on the same page in terms of the engagement.
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you.
Supporting your comment in school, I think, wondering if, Rich, we can lean on you for that. In terms of information that's salient, just, the thought was, there's a lot going on at the school. And big issues. Over both immediate and longer term, and just being aware and knowledgeable of that. Is it fair to ask you to provide that to us, or would you suggest we go to a municipal budget committee member or some other source? Because I don't want to add to your,
If you folks want to utilize me as your resource for that, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you.
I will say, as a municipal budget committee member, I don't know that there's a lot someone else could do as a layperson, other than say, just go to the meeting as well. But I mean, they're very encapsulated. I didn't find them, reading through agendas and minutes, it's not exactly easy to get the gist of what's going on,
I was
without
thinking,
any
yeah, I
meetings
hear
and
you. I
stuff.
was thinking more about the most recent projection of capital needed. This $30 to $50 million ranged number, which has got, when you hear the number, your hair curls maybe, but also has implications. In fact, as that becomes more solidified, we can be thinking about it and just know it's in the backdrop of also what affects the tax rate and being able to reflect it in a rational way to the public as well. So that versus deep dive into how does the, what are all the budget issues associated with the school? Unless there is someone
That's-
or something that comes up.
That was kind of my point. I think it is just a big deep dive. It's not just like an aha moment. Whoa, okay, caught it.
Yeah, I think
It's definitely
Phoebe used to keep us abreast just given what she did with the school board. So I think, I don't know if there's a person attached to it or, relying on Rich for any information, or that any of us select board for information as we hear from. And then Charlie, we had you as the CIP.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we've only got Charlie for planning CIP.
I'm going to do
How
it as
you're-
needed.
Great,
If I, that's available, if I can.
perfect. And then Karen for water, is there someone else that was going to join Karen for the water conversation?
We didn't at the time because we didn't have multiple members. We just said these are the sort of the point people, and if anyone wanted to join, they could.
I'll join you if I can. But it's time sensitive, I guess. They may be a little more flexible. To the schedule.
So that'd be great.
Okay.
Play as a place.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I think I'm gonna jump off. I'm in a different time zone. It's getting close to midnight, but I think I don't really need to necessarily be on for more votes and things, but I hope that's okay.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
And
Cynthia.
cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want me to leave this open though? Because you've got this recording going, then when you leave the meeting, it'll just shut off
Well,
automatically?
I will, if you jump off, it'll still be on.
Oh, great. Because I was the only one, so I didn't know if that would end it. Okay, silly me. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a great night.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so we have our list. The next step would be to the point person would communicate with the department head.
Yeah, I will connect the point person with the department head, so they are not aware of who
Right.
the budget committee members are, so I will make those connections via email and let you all schedule time that works best.
So I looked at a calendar before coming to this meeting just to see, well, here we are, September 15.
Yeah.
We kind of got a little more compressed than our original timeframe. But if we took now up until October 4th, that gives us 3 weeks of time. Is that reasonable to think that we could try to accomplish this in? And part of my logic with that was, if we start budget committee, individual department or area meetings on October 8th.
Remind me, when are the department heads presenting their budgets to the selectmen?
The October 17th, Friday, October 17th.
Right.
And so their budgets are due to us, to Lynn, and to myself by September 26th.
So it might make sense. Certainly, we could start it now. They're probably finalizing their budgets to turn it in, and then I think we could meet as a budget committee before the select meeting with the budget, but also understand that just based on questions the selectmen have or some of the decisions that are made in that meeting, some of those answers could be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
6.5 resident.
It depends on what people's schedule is, Charlie. On mine, I am,
Yeah.
this week I'm in New York. I'm free next week. The next week I'm in San Antonio, and the following week I'm in Chicago. So maybe.
What week in San Antonio?
Ah.
I'm
You might
there.
Oh, are you?
I'm there.
I'll talk to you. Yeah, I'm there for 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah, so maybe the way we can also think about it, I think, John, you and I are teamed on town administration, planning and CIP. So if you can't, I can.
Yeah.
And then I can loop you in that way. If,
I mean, I don't mind doing, I'm just,
Yeah.
just saying.
I think that's, yeah, I think we're gonna end up, when we contact whoever the appropriate department lead is, their head. They'll give us their availability and then we got fit into it,
And a quorum would be more than 4, right? So
more than 6.
more than 6.
6 is a quorum,
One,
simple
Well, that-
majority is quorum.
6, 7, 8, 9.
There's 10
10
committee members.
members,
Oh, there are 10?
yes, 9 elected and
Oh, some more, okay.
I
I just want to make sure.
So, more than 6.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
10.
people like, oh, I'm really interested in police, and then they don't.
Yeah, we all show up, but suddenly we got 6. Now, if it is, Lou will drop out.
Okay, so
So what's the
Ashley,
deadline?
so, yeah, so Ashley will communicate to the department heads as soon as she does that, and the people who are leading the
Yes.
department, as soon as she does that, it is go try and find times that work. So, and then, we'll come back, I guess, I'll let the chair figure out all the logistics. Which is always fun, and we would have our meetings and then record our answers or their answers, send it back to them, and we would want to do that before or after the selectmen meeting with the budget committee members. Sorry, with department heads. Because that's the 17th.
Doesn't give you much time.
Doesn't mean they're not planned.
It's a month.
Yeah, it's a month. Yeah, I think we do it before, and then if there's modifications, we'd make them based on the select board meeting.
Okay.
That's mine.
Does any
Recommendation.
other thoughts? Does that make sense, Karen?
My question. So the department heads, I'm just looking, hearing the dates I actually mentioned, September, and Lynn as well, thank you. September 26th, the budgets are due from department heads to Lynn. Okay,
And to me, so all of the committees and commissions as well submit to me.
okay, so so they're already working on.
Oh, yeah,
Right now.
we have,
Have been.
at least from committees and
Wow.
commissions, we have a good number of them in.
Are there, just to kind of, if there's anything that we need to be kind of informed of, have they been given, have there been any assumptions that have been provided to department needs, or is it sort of following what they've done in the past in terms of But
Yeah, there's been
there's
no
one
assumptions
that
given to them. They're
Okay.
going to submit their budgets as they need their budgets for. what
As they
need
have
to
in the
accomplish.
past. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
So it seems like then if that timing is that, then department heads will have already had, they'll have all that information likely by the time, for the most part, any of our meetings might occur, but it may not. We start as of tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be most of the way, if there was another meeting next week, if there was a meeting next week, I'm sure they're 95% of the way there. And then likely something will change in every department's budget after the select board meeting, right? So I think it's gonna be up to us to communicate. If we can't attend the meeting live, watch it, nothing like an all-day Zoom. But to communicate with that department head what changed and bring that to the budget committee when we had those discussions.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the dates, the drop dead dates are the 17th.
Having your meeting before the 17th of October.
Thank you.
I mean, unless you disagree with each other.
No, I think we should strive to do them as soon as we can, but no later than that. And it's all work it out with the respective departments.
And then do we want to then discuss meeting dates for the rest of the year?
Yes.
Get those in.
Yes.
Okay. Again, in the past, typically we've done these from 6:30 to 8:30 on Wednesdays. I don't know all the conflicts for all the other committees, meetings. And buildings and things like that. So I don't know if Wednesday's always been the budget committee meeting date, or has anything moved to Wednesdays?
Yeah, so the select board, so for this week, the select board meeting is on Wednesday. We need to have a broader conversation with the select board members as they have. There are some other commitments now on Thursdays that might shift the select board meeting schedule away from Thursday nights, but I need to talk with each one of them individually. And figure out what that looks like. But for this week, at least, it is Wednesday night, and then we'll figure out what that schedule looks like. There are no other Wednesday night conflicts that I am aware of for standing meetings.
Okay, so but there's a possibility that select meeting could be Wednesday nights. Given
Correct, but I think what we could do is alternate weeks with you. Because you don't meet weekly for budget.
As we get closer, we do to town meeting.
Yeah. I took the liberty of copying the original document and the proposed dates. And I've got a copy for everybody. If we worked off of this, maybe we could agree. Yay, nay, or possibly.
Sure.
And then. Ashley, you could look at it and then tell us later.
Yep.
Maybe tell me, because
Absolutely.
I'll take it on and I'll take on the communication to the committee as well.
You
So
got it.
here's the original.
Here, I'll pass them.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Write this same into
I'll do my interview in San Antonio if you want.
You're in.
On the Riverwalk, how about that?
I'm fine with that.
No, it's overrated. Riverwalk's overrated. Sorry.
So I'll just take the lead just because I generated the document. We can crash it around. So the thought was there was 11 meetings. The last number 11 would be the public meeting, which I don't know how I got February 4th, but I think I looked at last year's calendar and said probably close to or on about that time frame.
I think last year was the 7th, maybe,
Yeah, that's so.
or maybe not. It
Is
was
that
not
one?
on Valentine's Day, I can tell you that. We did not do it on Valentine's
It's,
Day.
yeah, no, not for John.
So, but it
The 7th.
hasn't
We
been,
had it on a Friday night, remember?
but it hasn't been set yet. The date hasn't been set yet.
Correct.
Okay, so, but it'll be sometime in February 2026.
So essentially, we have between October 17th or the 18th and when town meeting is to fit everything in. Because if you still want to have these
Yeah.
honest discussions outside of that, that would have to happen after the 17th.
I think we're gonna end up having, my guess is, so we have meetings with departments, we generate a written document, it gets just, checked, double checked, and then distributed, so everybody has a. Probably a meeting.
Yeah, I mean, do we think that we could be a little bit more efficient with the meetings this year? So for example, do we need one meeting for library?
I don't know. The reason I left it at one meeting was three things. One, it's a separate entity and the select board has no purview over the
Right.
library. And my understanding of prior review of budget has been similar to what we've received before, which was a one-page worksheet. Kind of like, this is what it was last year, this is what it's gonna be next year with some notes. And so I don't really know the answer to that. Depends on Lindsay entirely, because she's gonna lead that initiative. And she'll tell us whether we need a full meeting to review it or not, but I would think we'd probably know if there are any issues or opportunities, so that meeting could potentially be joined with another.
I mean, it's always, you can also have, we don't have to go 2 hours every time. There's just, if we're trying to find another way to fit meetings to combine a couple.
Yeah.
Police and fire generally take the longest, right? And
Yeah,
even admin typically isn't that long. Unless we talk about software.
For what it's worth, I would certainly suggest that it would be potentially valuable to double some of these up.
Yeah.
And reduce the overall number. I mean, certainly with the NBC for the school district, we bunch a lot of presentations together. And part of it is that I always do worry that anytime, I do think a lot of times that work does expand to fill the time allotted. And so if we can double some of these up, I think there might be a value to doing that, especially ones where I don't know that they would be terribly lengthy ones to address.
Library's budget will be put in front of their board of trustees next week for approval, so they will have theirs very early.
And one thing I would also say, and certainly Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that while we do not have, the select board does not have direct oversight of the library budget, we do get to say either we recommend or not recommend that budget. And, I'm certainly, as the new guy, apparently eager to be a pain in the neck. I'm urging us to take that role seriously. That in other words, if we have the ability to recommend or not the library budget, we have the opportunity to weigh in on that budget.
But I don't think you have that ability.
Why
You
is-
have the ability to recommend or not recommend the appropriation they're requesting.
Precisely.
Right, okay, but
And
not their budget.
no, but
Okay.
if it is made clear, in other words, the very fact that we can recommend or not their appropriation.
Right.
I'm urging us to take that more seriously.
I agree. I'm just saying, I just didn't want it
Right,
to be
no, I mean-
misconstrued that you could
No.
address their budget and not recommend their budget. It's the appropriation that we're gonna recommend or not.
In
recommend.
those, the ultimate number that they come up with,
Right,
Yeah.
yep,
we do have the ability to do that.
yes.
And that's where, again, my feeling is if we have the ability to do that, we should take that seriously. And, the library board they can do what they want with that information.
Now, you can recommend yea or nay, but you do not have or do you have the authority for line item?
They don't.
No,
Okay.
No.
that's what I'm saying.
So,
Yeah.
so I think, I'm sorry,
you know what I'm saying, but it's still a good hammer too.
I would
Two
describe
people.
it as a hammer. but-
Well, it's Damocles, you can,
I just, again, we do have that
yes.
ability. I think we should utilize it.
I'm just looking up.
I agree with everything that's been said. I'd add that I'm sure that the library director and team and board go through due diligence to arrive at a budget and they're not just short shifting something over to the budget committee or the select board. However, I personally can't tell you one thing about that library and what drives its cost, other than it's an old building. So I'm hoping that by having more discussion and deliberation, we would garner information that helps us better understand more completely the operation, where it is today, where it's heading, what's driving its costs, both operationally, staffing wise and capital wise, and be really informed about it. And I just think that's a good thing. And if it then influences based on how the budget committee views it, the appropriation approval by the select board, then we've served another purpose, because they don't have legal oversight to allow for line item review and or approval, but an aggregate total appropriation approval or not. So I just don't know how big it is. And how much time would be required. But I would suggest that the team that goes and does that work will be able to come back with and help possibly in some formulation with Richard, the director, more comprehensive information. And it may not take a single meeting to just do that. We could combine that one probably. Yeah, I'm talking about library.
Muffin factory, I mean, it's not gonna generate a whole lot. What exactly do you mean? In general, just the cost of the operating cost in general?
I don't
So-
understand what drives their operating costs other than the basic things of labor and. Yeah, old building.
Right,
Tell me more about the programming and what that looks like and how is that driving their operating budget request? What are the capital issues that are front and center? How are they thinking about those near term and long term? How has the strategic master plan that they put great money and effort to a year and a half ago? How is that materializing into how it's thinking about resources it will need for the future? And the operating budget, along with other things such as capital, and how are they thinking about that? I mean, I could go on. I'm just trying to make the point that I don't know it, but if somebody else does, and I'm articulating things that everybody else, you already know. I'm just saying it's a big unknown, and that the benefit of the process is we can garner more information. But to say that the representation of it will take a sole budget committee meeting to hear and react to, it may not.
It may not. I mean, I think some of the hope with the questions up front is being more efficient on the back end.
I
But
think,
I hear what you're saying. So let me go back. The town meeting is when? Do we know the town meeting date?
I don't think we have the date yet.
Okay,
The
typically,
second
it's,
Tuesday,
typically it's in
March.
March.
Yeah, it is absolutely March 2nd Tuesday.
So,
Maybe a
and you need how long, sorry, and maybe. How long do we typically need to have, we've needed to approve the budget? We typically have a reconciliation meeting. The budget committee has to vote, but then we have the public meeting, which typically is a couple weeks before town meeting.
I think it's in early February because we will have to print. We'll need to get things printed in time.
Okay, so about a month then. You
Yes.
need a month.
As much time as possible, but I would say no later than the second week of February, early in the second week of February.
Okay, so that would be the 9th, is the second Monday in February. Would it make sense just to work backwards then? I mean, maybe that's what we did, but if I'm,
Yeah, I was doing it both ways.
if I'm looking here, we're already past the point of department area reports and reviews. Right?
Well, if the reconciliation meeting is on January 28th, and then the public meeting is on the 4th, that allows for the town report meeting requirement, and certainly meets the town meeting deadline.
Okay.
And the sequence of these meetings, by the way, is something that we've seems to have always been a certain way, but we could move those around also, but
Yeah, I know, Lindsay did bring this up last year, or maybe it was the year before, it could be even the year before. I think it is helpful to not always be the first one to go.
sure.
I don't know, not that it makes a huge difference, but sometimes it's nice to not hear from police first, because Chief Cobb always gets like grilled because she's the first one to go all the time. And I'm not saying it wouldn't happen if she went last. But unless we think it's more important to go in the order of budget amounts, I don't know, I'd love other committee members to chime in on, you know, which departments may want to go first or last, or
The committees and associations, I always feel as if we're like kind of dismissive when they come, we're like, yeah, good job, thank you, all right, let's go. It might be nice if they go first. Because it's for pretty small.
Yeah.
You know, it's not insignificant, but incremental amounts, and it wouldn't maybe feel so patronizing to them.
yeah, and sometimes we get requests out of the blue from people we don't know and they don't show up. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
I don't mind if that went first. I mean,
that's great.
I don't know if that,
I agree.
I think that's a great idea.
I think,
what about the financial forecast models? Is that a meeting by itself?
I think it is. I think if we do it and do it well, which we will, I think it's a really good discussion for this committee to have.
Then how do we want to fit in the department area reviews and discussions?
I think we're gonna get crunched.
If you can't have
If-
the capital
if-
improvement committee debt financing service until after the 17th, correct?
CIP, I believe, will be ready within the next 4 weeks. I'm guessing based on where I understand we are today. I mean, debt financing is directly sort of related to your financial model. So
I just don't know if any warrant articles, and not that we have to keep that like there.
I don't think we need to keep it there. We can move.
Okay, that's fine.
Also, keep in mind, the financial forecast model, that's the one I'm creating for you guys. I can't do the full impact of it until CIP is done. If CIP is not done for 4 weeks,
Right,
and then I come in the following week, like that's a quick
certainly.
turnaround.
So maybe well, what we could do is move the financial forecasting down in the schedule.
Mhm.
So if we do that, I love the idea of the committee meetings, association maybe being first one. If we shoot for, is October 8th a reasonable timeframe to do that for them? They'd have to say yes. That's a lot of people would. For all of the, the committees, Conservation Committee, Commission, Garden, Recreation, Lake Association, Luana Hospital. That grouping of people do we think October 8th is too early for them?
So I think I need some historical context. Do they all actually come in and meet with you all?
They come in
do.
and
Okay,
make
so
a
it's not me
request.
reading. I am the one entering into their numbers, but they all come in and meet.
They do a
Okay,
presentation
got it.
and.
Or just answer
request
questions.
And answer questions.
Typically, we'll go line by line, and sometimes they'll present, which can get long, or we'll just have questions.
Got it.
And you're gonna start that before the
If
Board
that,
of Selectmen give you their budget.
Oh, that's-
right, that's my thing, is that I think we need the Board of Selectmen's budget after the 17th to then, or else we're working on potentially different budgets.
Yep.
Which could be okay, but I'm just thinking that on the 17th, they're gonna say to these requests, they're gonna say no to some no.
Yes, and we need that week of October 6th is when we will be putting together the budget binders leading up to the jamboree. And for you all.
I actually just looked at that.
That's all day.
I always thought that was a strange term, so yes.
Yes, for the select board. again, I don't have historical context to know if you
We
all,
would like that.
you guys did. There you go.
Just people ask questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, you
Yep.
can. Section.
Yep.
There's also.
Is it only one meeting that we're trying to make up? Like, there could be a way to combine.
The only reason the 19th is that's the week of when we precede Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
That was the only, but we have a week in there. We
and then
can,
you have some time between December 8th and January 7th.
yes.
So is it worth maybe just reworking? Do you want to rework this with dates and then come back?
Yeah, I'm happy to rework this based on this conversation. Send it out and have everybody react to it.
Yeah.
That's not a meeting, it's just gathering information and facts around a particular subject, so I checked 91, Article 91A. I'm very clear about what is and what isn't.
And for.
Trust me, I got it right here.
And do we want to hold Wednesdays, just knowing that it's gonna start in October for now, unless the selectmen make a different decision, let's just people's calendars hold Wednesday nights,
Yes.
Yeah.
Starting the 22nd.
starting the 8th,
October.
Yeah,
if the CIP can permit it.
yes.
I will miss that meeting, but I can't believe it. I actually make all of the rest. Yeah,
Would be
but
every
wow,
Wednesday night.
It was incredible.
No, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
every Wednesday, but we're just holding Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Like, in anticipation. I will have to miss the 8th as well. I will be in San
I
Diego.
can't attend on the 8th either, would be in Dallas.
Hey, we'll be close.
I'm not going to Texas. I hate it there.
We'll be in
But-
Texas.
But am I correct? Well, I think, Ashley, why don't I get with you on 91A, Article 91A and interpretation?
Sure.
Because I don't know that it precludes that a member can't participate, and thus we have a quorum if they're remote. There-
Yeah, we've always. been
Yeah,
able
which
to do
been
that.
able-
So if you're in San Antonio, you could participate if the
Oh,
time
sure.
of the meeting, that can happen. So
Yes.
if there's a reason that the time of the meeting, you can't meet, then maybe we look at that individual particular date and say, we need to find another one because we really need a quorum as well as full
I,
committee.
I can tell you just the school board and the MBC for the school district. We do allow folks to participate remotely, but we have to make a motion and vote to allow them to do
To do
that.
that.
Correct, and that's what we've had to do before.
You have to, okay.
Yes.
But keep,
Okay,
keep
so-
in mind that our technology is not that great at Whipple, so whoever's remoting in, listening, they're not gonna be picked up by the recording as well.
Can we put a mic directly
Could give it a shot.
adjacent to the computer that has 3 people on it, and maybe that can
We can try.
help us, we could try that.
Absolutely.
Can you?
I think that's the question.
Yeah, get the one.
I mean, I feel like we're making a good case for a little bit more money on the technology side here.
Is the Whipple sound system hooked up to an AI recording?
No.
No. That's the.
Tell it
problem.
to right now. Or not.
Okay, so
Hmm.
I think just stepping back, I will take the task of reworking this agenda of meetings with potential dates. I'll get it to you, Ashley, as a first, and then you can react to that, and then whatever we conclude seems to work, I'll send to the committee for your weighing in.
Yeah. I
That'll
think
work.
that works. I mean, again, we know that there are gonna be meetings in weeks where certain people can't make it for travel or whatever. We can try and remote in, as long as at the end of the day, like the day we vote on the budget is when everybody should be able to attend. But, yeah, we'll do our best. Any other business?
I have one subject.
Yes, sir.
And we'll, I'd like the committee's reaction to it and my hope for us is to continue to be better and in all that we do. And in the experiences of the past 2 years that are mine, I found the process at times frustrating for a number of reasons. And I've also, the issue about conduct and decorum and civility has been used because we get into some pretty dicey topics. And my proposal to us is that I would like to establish some meeting norms that we would work with as a basis for using to set expectations of one another, as well as to utilize them to facilitate ourselves as we go and embark on our process. And that includes in facilitation and reference to members of the public that attend the meetings and participate in them. And I think those guideposts can be really helpful to get high performance work. And they can be there as sort of a reference during our meetings, as well as can be revised and edited as time goes along. We really think we ought to have another working norm, and we agree on them and we agree to operate with them in mind. So I think there's great value in that. I think without it, there's a license to do whatever you want to do or think you want to do, and maybe it's well intended, maybe it's not. I would give you as an example, items come up either in the committee itself or from the public that have no bearing or relationship to the agenda. And how those are handled is important. And I think we want to encourage input, but I think we also heard from the department heads an issue about trust. And that trust issue came from two places. One place was they come to all the meetings because they don't want to get caught blindsided because the committee takes up a subject that is not on the agenda but pertains directly to their department, and they're not here to speak to that. So a working normal that I would recommend we have is we will not discuss a topic of a department that's outside of the agenda if that department head is not there. And even if the department head is there, if I'm facilitating the meeting as your chair, I'm going to say that's really not on our agenda. It may be important. And what I'm going to recommend we do is put that in the parking lot, acknowledge what it is, and then decide as a committee at the end of a meeting what we're going to do with the parking lot items that come forth.
Here, here.
Another example I would give you is sort of a kind of a working agreement on, and I don't know how to phrase it, but I'm going to say it the best way I can. You know, what we do here stays here. I have heard and I have read, but I do not participate in social media. And I have heard and read things that absolutely are appalling. And I think as a committee, I would want us not to participate in that. You have the right to do what you want, but as a committee member, you have an obligation, we individually, to certain conduct. I think there's another that I would recommend is be prepared. Another is listen with both ears and your heart and empathetically for understanding and completeness. So those are just examples of how we might think about how we do our work. And it's the beginning of really starting to have some structure, yes, but also have some decorum that we can work with. I talk too much, so one of my norms would be don't talk too much. And if I do, you should facilitate me, as I should facilitate you if there's quid pro quo. And I think those of you who've worked in the corporate world know this process and understand their value. Lastly, I am personally going to take on the project of creating a document that speaks to the governance of the budget committee. And that's a broader document that will address how we work, what we do, how we do what we do, and with what sort of parameters we do what we do. And that would be a shared document and to the public and to this committee, so that as we go forward, everything we do is done within the spirit of those things as well within some guidelines to them as. So we don't have to do that now, and you may think it's a bad idea, and that's okay. But I'm proposing that be done. I will come in with a governance document back to this committee for future consideration and discussion. And that's my thought.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to have a framework or guardrails or guidelines. Obviously, a lot is in the words that are used, right? And believe me, I'm not one to talk about things on social media, but I think we also have to be careful that there are freedoms allowed and attached to doing things. And if a committee member wants to espouse their opinions or beliefs on social media, that's their right to do that. I don't say that might by another committee member be considered rude or not tactful or out of the lines, but there's no law or rule that says they can't do that. So I'm not saying that that's not a bad idea. I'm just saying, let's just make sure that the language that we use is open-ended so that maybe that's something we agree to, but it doesn't have to. I just don't want it to end up being like, these are the rules of the budget committee, and if you don't follow those, there's a
No,
consequence.
to be clear, I'm just recommending that as a next process, at some point, as we embark on our work, that we generate through the input of everyone on the committee, a set of operating ground rules, sort of, or norms, meeting norms. And then when they're listed, then we can talk about those.
Sure.
Exactly, like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Because I know when I say social media, that brings in the concerns that you've raised, and are appropriately so. So
I mean,
that's just a thought.
Just to echo Charlie, something that we've been working on internally here is similar on the same lines here of just ensuring that our employees are keeping things that we are talking about amongst employees or committee members until something is public ready because of the rumor mill and what happens when you start to even just mention something. What happens then? It really takes off like wildfires, just making sure that you're keeping things to yourself or amongst committee members or other employees until something is ready to be shared with the public, just to try to quell some of that.
I agree with you in just about all. One of the things that I think we also should have is a vision for the committee, which we don't, which, we have the statute. The statute said we'll be doing the budget and look at the budget in the year and et cetera, et cetera. But we're all coming out of our own ideas, and I think we should have established, that our vision is to serve the people of New London and to fund the services to as much as we can, to look at judiciously funding those services that the people are asking us to fund. And because that is what we're here for. We're not here to cut. We're not here to slash and burn. We're here to provide services for the folks who need it. Of course, there's going to be different philosophies, but I think that's something that we need to keep in mind as we're reading and as we're making decisions about the judicious application of funds in the town. The second part, yes, it is a necessary item for decorum and for civility. Having said that, I'll tell you the reason why this is my second term in the budget committee is the reason why I decided to run for the budget committee, because I saw an egregious display of misogyny against a member of the town staff, and I said, I'm not going to put up with it. And I can tell you, I'm going to be extremely vocal if I see that again. There is no reason for anyone, any of us or anyone in the town staff to be belittled or berated in the conduct of his or her duty. Period, and over and out.
Yeah.
John? I had a question on the 20 questions, that can be brief. If a committee, one of the committee members meets with a department before October 4th, how do those, or could those 20 questions, the answers, influence the submission of the budget by the department heads on the 26th of September?
My answer is it might, but I would think they're gonna be adjustable documents, they're not set in stone. Because I think what we'll get is a lot of really good information. And then as that gets clarified, when it's particular to a budget item, then we adjust if it's in the report that the committee has, that adjustment is made and used.
And then the second part of my question, when it is confirmed by the department head that what they verbally told you is accurate, and that changes between the 4th of October and the, I guess February.
Yeah.
How would that be addressed?
I think we have to update the document. And then I would assume, Chris, help me and to Ashley, that if we generate a document as a committee, it is a public document. And therefore, as such, John, I think it is incumbent on us to ensure that it is edited, modified, revised correctly, and that new document stands as the existing accepted document.
Okay.
So everybody is working with current and accurate information.
So I guess that does beg a question, because to John's point, if Chief Lyon, use his name this time, if Chief Lyon submits something in a meeting with the selectmen and or budget committee, or something happens and comes up and something changes, and we find out about it, are we not required, but should we update that document as soon as possible, or are we gonna update the document after the town budget has been voted on?
My bias would be to update it right away, once you know.
Okay.
Because those are documents that we would be utilizing to help keep us informed.
I think also it's fresh in mind.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
I just, where are they gonna live if we update them?
I think the committee will have to figure that out.
Yeah.
I think they'll end up.
Does it have to be a shared doc, right? Or someone's gonna, a committee member like myself will have to contact you to say, I've updated the DPW questions, and I've had to send it to Sam to take a look at, approve. So he approves and then give it to you to live in a place, because are these gonna be public? I don't
know.
We didn't talk about these documents
Yeah.
being public. For
I
the
don't.
community, this was for budget committee members.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume, yes, they would need to be at some point, but I will look into that. I'm assuming yes.
I would have assumed
That
that
is my-
they were
that
public.
is
We
my
can't
gut.
do,
Yes.
I don't think we can put something out.
No, I'm just saying, we never.
We
never
didn't
said-
talk about it, and I kind of was working under the assumption that they would. Only that
Would be
would
public?
be public, yeah, we're transparent.
would too.
avoid it.
And if we're responsible for the accuracy of that information. So we're sort of the stewards of it, because I guess if we looked at next year, when we go back to the document that for Department of Public Works, I think that would be the source document to begin the conversations that may ensue for that budget year, and that then becomes a new document. So So it's sort of a current repository of data and information.
That's fine. I just want to make sure if it's public, it's. Again, we can talk about it again, but let's just make sure we're all aligned on the process for doing that. Right? Because I don't think Ashley is going to be responsible for updating the document or sending it to Ashley if we're keeping that. I'm just using your head nods. That we just need to figure out the best way to do that so everything is as accurate as possible.
Oh, we can also put a as of date
Yeah,
on the document too, so that the assumptions made and gathered are there when those were captured.
Good question, John.
Yeah, and then if someone wanted to attend one of those meetings, it is allowable or not allowable?
I mean, my opinion is that this is for budget committee members to get some exposure to the department heads. I'm not gonna say that it's not a public meeting. I'm also not gonna say the public can't attend, but I think the spirit of it is that it's for budget committee members to get information from the department heads, and not saying you would, just that we respect that and not sort of try and take over the meeting. Again, not saying you would, just I can imagine some people asking lots of questions that really is not the intention of the spirit of the meeting. But I don't know I don't know if that means we can't deny the public attending, right?
Yes, I would agree. I don't think we can deny them, but to your point, I don't want this to become a scenario where now we have the public also asking their own questions in
Right.
those.
Because we're not posting these meetings.
Correct.
So the only way the public would know of these meetings is if we were telling them, here are the meetings.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, not opposed to it, and maybe as budget committee members, if a member of the public attends and they're guideline wise, they're asking a lot of questions that maybe that wasn't.
I don't, my bias would be that public could attend a meeting but not participate. Listen and observe.
I just didn't know if we can.
I don't know if we
Make
can
that
do
happen.
that. Yeah, I don't know, but that was my bias.
Can I weigh in, just on the topics,
Yes.
before this question came up about attendance on meetings? I think what's really unique about our committee is we're 9 independently elected people. And we bring a point of view that's our own, and we got voted, we went to the public, we put our name out there, we may have campaigned or not campaigned, but we owe the public to represent them in a way in which is authentic to each of us. And when I hear a word like misogynist or misogyny used, I think sometimes we could really benefit by having an understanding of how they came about. I think people can sometimes make an assumption about where someone is coming from, when in fact, they're not coming from that at all. It's just a misunderstanding. So I don't know the situation that you're speaking of about Lou, but I would think if something like that were to come up again, that there'd be a way to address it in terms of more fully understanding how a question may have been asked or what the backdrop is. So it could just be completely a misunderstanding on all parties. So I really encourage us all to ask questions, and my view is a question does not always indicate a position. It can, but not always. And so I just wanted to share those sentiments, that we acknowledge that we're here to ask those questions, because sometimes we get questions from the public ourselves and feedback. So we're trying to just kind of do a fair job as possible in sorting through all of this, which is, as we just seen, it's a lot to sort through.
But you can ask a question, or you can ask a question. There's different ways of doing
I
it
understand.
while maintaining decorum, courtesy, and mutual respect. And yeah, you can, hard questions are not out of the question, if you want to, for lack of another word, but there's you can have a question with even a question that requires research, even a question that is a deep question, but still with respect. And
Absolutely.
that's what I think I'm not gonna put words in Charlie's mouth, but I think that's what you're
Yeah, I
referring
think
to.
it's-
Yes.
I think in the
I
case
agree
here-
with that.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, and I would totally concur with that. So when, if something were to come up, maybe that's the time to address it, is in the moment. And so that it doesn't get perceived as being something it may not be. That's all I'm saying.
I do think it's important to address things if you feel a certain way. And if a member of the public says something that a member of the committee feels, because perception is different than reality, right? I will say in the instance that Lou is talking about, there are multiple instances that members of the administration and committee, as I was chair, came to me and complained. So in the case that I think we're talking about, this is not a misunderstanding. It is a feeling that multiple people have. But I agree that if you're addressed a certain way and you feel that it was, maybe it wasn't their intention, but you felt that way, I think you should voice it.
I agree, get it handled in the moment and move on. Yeah, thank you.
So I'd like to conclude with a recommendation and get your approval to go forward or not. I will, if you are in agreement, I'll put together a draft of some meeting norms. And include in it a vision statement of what is a committee along the lines of what you were suggesting. And then distribute it to the committee for your consideration and bring it back and discuss it if there are, and there should be items to discuss, and also for things you might add to that list. And then we can agree, these are the guidelines for us and our norms. And we'll begin to utilize them as we have our meetings to ensure that they go in the direction of positive, productive, respectful work.
You want to make that into a motion?
We can, or I can just volunteer and do it, and then you can react, but if you don't want me to do it, I
I
won't.
think we would need a motion
I think we need a
to
motion.
accept it, but not to necessarily
Yeah.
put together. a
To,
draft.
okay,
Yeah.
to deputize.
Yeah, Charlie will do it and I'll send it to you guys and review and react. And we
To
can-
to have a letter patent.
Okay.
Where's Lord
All
Charlie?
right, so I guess any other business? Any motions to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have another meeting dates that
We don't.
we do that?
We can do that because there's only one. One thing to adjourn, so we can. Do we want to meet? Well, we have October 8th. Are you looking to meet before that? Or
Not necessarily. I just want to make sure we say that whatever our next meeting date is, that's what we'll strive to, because there's a lot of work to do between now and then.
Well, I think that was part of going back to then look at the calendar to say what makes the most sense. Back, like working backwards off
Yeah.
town meeting.
Okay, so at a minimum, we say it will be October 8th, but it could be earlier.
But it could be earlier, or it could be after the selectmen have their town meeting with department heads.
Now, from what I've heard just now, a lot of people are going to be absent on October 8th. Will we even have a quorum? Because I'm not going to be here.
So
You
who
see.
won't be here the week of October 8th? So that's 4 and I,
One of them.
yeah,
And I think Cynthia said she wasn't.
correct. And I don't know about Ken or Lindsay. So we could also do,
Can we meet the first
The what,
of October?
1st of October?
If nothing less, it's a progress. Where
Well, just
are
keep
we?
us momentum.
And continue some momentum, and we'll have some better answers around our schedule and around other items that are sort of hanging out
yeah,
there.
I can do the first.
I certainly can meet on the 1st of October.
I'm not criticalist, but I cannot do the
I-
first.
I can meet in
But you
the
guys
first.
are free to meet without me, obviously.
Okay.
I just would not.
So we'll start with the first.
Yeah.
Okay,
So when?
October
October
1,
1.
just hold your calendars.
October.
On your calendar and 6 o'clock, location to be determined.
I will be on an airplane at that time.
Leaving any jet?
Motion to adjourn.
No returning on a jet.
I
like that.
already had it first. Any seconds to adjourn?
Second, when you-
All right, all those in favor?
Then we're done. Assuming that the plane is on.
No, thanks.
See you all from, you'll be in Canada. It's the,
Still here to help.
the district governor training.
Thank you.
Well,
How are you doing, man?
Yeah.
I marvel.
Of course they can.
You know, just.
That would really.
Good night.
Random.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a simple thing that you should have that massive organization.
In my twenties, I've sort of.
Or pieces of information that.
I gotta turn off.
I am. Especially.
You're on
like
the-
this side.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. That was fun.
Right now, I'm kind of, or, you know, like, you know.
Lou, I
so
can't
it's
wait to
not-
see your AI.
Notes.
Well, let's see.
How's it gonna know?
The name is familiar, what?
I'm sorry?
Oh, Grantham, he was in Boston, he was here.
Well, that's the only thing. It'll say it was discussed, so I'll just
Did you really?
And I respect